Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is Bridget Spackman here and I am so excited to have you guys with me this evening. I wanted to thank you for joining in on this live chat so early, and so I have a very special offer for you. You can head over to my store, theletteredclassroom.com/store, and I want you to go and grab something. Anything, and get $10 off. So you can use the code, you like my little chicken scratch here, EARLYYT, head over to theletteredclassroom.com/store. It's only going to be good for about 10 minutes. So you need to open a new window now. Just make sure that you guys come back to the chat, grab something, get $10 off. So thank you so much for joining in on this chat so early. I know that it starts to get so much more challenging, especially with the gorgeous weather. Guys, it was beautiful outside today. Ian was mowing the grass. It just was picture perfect. And I totally get it. Having this like desire to want to continue and, get on and chat about school stuff, I don't think anybody really wants to do. I don't blame you. It's really, really hard. Like, I'm struggling thinking that, I have to go to work tomorrow morning. But I appreciate you, and I wanted to show that with this $10 off. So go and grab something from my store right now. Again, 10 minutes. It's all you guys have. Welcome to today's live chat. I have something really special for you guys when it comes to a freebie, and I really hope that you guys are going to like it. I know that right now, like I mentioned, we're all thinking summer. Summer brains are on. Our focus is starting to fade. Our desire to want to get up in the mornings is definitely starting to fade, and every day seems to be a little bit of a struggle. The end of the year can be a really hectic time, and so my goal tonight is to really help and make sure that I make the end of the year so much less stressful for you. And so today we're going to talk about 5 different options that you can be giving your students at the very end of the year to do summer learning, to have some form of learning over the summer. I'm curious because when I first started teaching in kindergarten, this was in Alabama, we didn't necessarily have to give things over the summer. We definitely did, and I'm going to be sharing some old things that I was able to pull out from the basement. But when I came to 4th grade in Pennsylvania, I had to send things home. It was a requirement. It didn't have to be anything big, but they really pushed us to want to send things home with our kids over the summer. So I'm curious, do you have to send something home with your students at the end of the year for them to continue learning over the summer? You can give me just a quick yes or no. I just want to know as far as like, what are kind of your requirements? Do you send anything home over the summer? Is it just because you feel this need, this desire to want to help parents out so that they have something that they can continue working on, so they're not so far behind, and we're not experiencing too much of that whole summer slide that so many of our kids tend to experience? So Leslie says, nope, do not have to send anything home. Curious, Leslie, do you send something home? Is that something that you do? Lola says we don't, but admin does. So that is something else that we are definitely going to be talking to. Jobo says hello, and no, we are not required to do so. Joanna says nope, don't have to do it. It's really interesting, I think, how everything varies from district to district, or even from schools within a district. So I always like to give something for the summer, mainly because I want to help parents out as much as possible when it comes to giving them something to do over the summer. I know I really appreciate it as a parent because I want them to have some form of learning, especially when I feel like, it's like those rainy days, and I know for a fact that my kids can be doing something that's a little bit more educational based instead of just kind of sitting there wasting their life in front of the TV. So I have, like I mentioned, 5 different learning options. Now, I also said that I have a freebie for you guys. So if you head over to theletteredclassroom.com/summer learning, you can grab the freebie now. And I'm going to show you what this freebie looks like here. So here in this little freebie, you're going to notice it's just something very simple. It's just 5 summer learning activities. And what I did is I kind of compiled all of the learning activities onto this one page. So it's not super duper long, but it is going to be something that I think is worth your while. So if you see here, it says click the number to visit the resource. So each of these is going to have a resource. All of them except for one is going to be free. All of them except for one. So you're getting 4 free resources this evening for joining me. So I have a summer calendar that I'm going to be talking about, summer challenge, a reading challenge, a summer bingo, and a QR brochure. So all of these are going to be items that we're going to discuss here this evening. So it's theletteredclassroom.com/summer learning. All right, so let's go ahead, and I'm not gonna wait any longer. We're gonna start diving right on in. But really quick, before I see that, I see some new friends that are popping in. So Sherry says, we are not required to send summer work home in Northern California. Henry says, we're discussing that at our next faculty meeting. Oh, well, that's Alyssa, right? Alicia, I believe. Oh, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm horrible with names, and I really wish that you guys were here to help me with my pronunciations. Lee says, thanks for the offer. I went to the website to pick it out. Is there a coupon code to pick out a product? Yes, so you're going to be using early YT. And I think it's only available for just a little bit longer. Am I right?
Yep.
I'm looking at Trent. Yep, 4 minutes. You have 4 minutes to pick out a product.
Coupon code section's on the left side of the screen.
Hope you guys heard that. I think they did. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start jumping right on in to the chat. So the first option that we're gonna talk about today is going to be a monthly calendar. So guys, we're gonna go back to the day, all right? I'm gonna take you guys back all the way when I was in kindergarten. That was a good 9 or 10 years. That's been a really long time. But I wanted to share with you guys a little something of what we would do whenever I would send things home. I feel like I went all out when I sent things home in kindergarten, and it was mainly because I wanted my kids to practice reading. I wanted them to continue that practice, and I feel like for when you're starting to work with kindergartners, it's that whole, but what am I supposed to do with them as a parent? Parents really don't know how to navigate that whole learning. You know, some parents are like, well, I'm going to teach them a whole different language, and you're like, that might be challenging as they're trying to learn how to, read this and do this. And so I wanted to help parents be able to navigate the whole learning process while they were at home. And so one of the things that I would do is I created like this little summer journal. And y'all, let me tell you, I went all out. You definitely don't have to go all out like this. But one of the summer journal parts was that I would have monthly calendars. I had journals, so many things. I would send home books, I would send home materials, and all of this was in this nice little plasticky pouch that I got from the dollar store. It was absolutely adorable and cute, and that's what I would send home with my kids at the end of every school year. So I wanted to show, because I did pull this out from the archives of my kindergarten years, and I wanted to give you a little peek of what this calendar looks like. So here's what the calendar is. It's just my summer journal calendar, and so as they would go in, I would kind of give the parents a little letter. You guys can see here we kind of have some of those pieces. We had our summer calendars here. This is from a very long time ago. And it would just be something for kids to be able to cross off. Here it had a list of things that you could do over the summer, and it had a little spot for kids to be able to write some of those items. It had little journal pages so that the kids could respond using those journal pages. And so this was a model that a teacher friend of mine kind of gave me, and then I ended up just kind of creating my own because she moved away from kindergarten. This was her, I think, last year that she was with us. And so then I started kind of creating my own little journal from there. And I have to be honest, it was a lot of the reason why I started kind of making my own calendars, because I know that there are a lot of calendars that are out there that are available for people, is because I didn't quite like when they started, when they stopped. It didn't quite fit with where my school was on when we finished school, when we would start for the next year. I also didn't love all of the activities, and so I wished that I could kind of change little things here and there. So that's why I started kind of creating my own calendar. And this was only back in kindergarten. I promise you I don't actually do the calendar anymore, and I will reveal which one of these I do every single year with my students. So instead what I started doing is I started creating a bank, and this is what I have for you guys today. The calendar that you are going to see is going to look like this. So this is the calendar that you guys are going to receive. It's totally free. It's within that pack that I just showed you guys earlier. And what it is you have a spot for your families that just kind of has letters to them. And then the calendar itself is blank. Now I went through and I kind of copied and pasted a page here. I'm going to see 1 second. Hey, hun.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you guys on pause for just a second because I think this is actually not focusing. Focus.
Oh, yeah.
Give me 1 second, guys. We're going to kind of come to a pause, and then I will be right back in just a moment. All right, I'm back. We got it a little bit more focused. So sorry about that, guys. So what we have is going to be a calendar. The calendar is blank. You're able to, I already kind of added in the dates for you. And then you're able to kind of copy and paste different activities. Now, I think the most challenging part is that you have to come up with the activities. Luckily, I came up with a lot of activities for you. I have a combination of ELA, which are reading topics. I have writing topics. I have grammar topics. And then I also have math. And then there's one that's a just for fun type of topic. But here's how you would do this calendar itself. So let's say I find one of these activities that I really want to do. So I'm going to look at creating a recipe and then writing it out and then sharing it with a friend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to go to the calendar and paste that in. So when you double click, I'm just gonna, this is on an iPad, so it's always a little bit more challenging than if I was doing it on my computer. And then I would just paste that in there. So you can build your own calendar to make it fit your needs. And again, the biggest reason why I didn't love a lot of the calendars that were out there on the market is because some of them would start too early, they would start too late. I always like to give my kids just like a week or so after they finish school, that they're not just sitting there and automatically expected to get to learning. So here are some of the benefits of a calendar. So let's chat about that for a minute. Some of the benefits of having a calendar, and one of the reasons why I really liked it, is because it allowed me to kind of pick and choose some of the activities. The activities were a lot of them that I kind of have created and I have in this calendar for you are going to be activities that parents can very easily, it's like a game. They're playing with their kids, they're entertaining. The kids really like these types of activities, but also from a parent perspective, I really liked these because then it gave me an idea of, oh, I can continue to play this game. So like a lot of the games that I would play with my kindergartners in math, I actually played with Blaine. And so we would have, you know, number war, and then he would have some where he would have to add them and he would have to put them together. It was a game for him, but he was also learning and practicing skills that were really going to be beneficial to him in the future. So a lot of what's happening here in these activities is not only helping to encourage learning overall, but it's also going to help give parents ideas of, hey, here's something that you could do to help you practice some of these at home. So I want to share with you just a few of them that are inside of this calendar, or inside of the bank is what I should say, so that you guys have an idea of what to expect. So let's talk a little bit about these activities. And I'm going to see if I can zoom in. You have things from just making sure that they grab a book and they can read, watching a movie and comparing the two. There's a lot of really great picture books out there that are also kind of accompaniments to movies that kids can read with their families and then go and watch the movie and do a comparison. It's always fun to kind of have, like, as a family, everybody votes and you know, we kind of reveal the results at the very end, which is fun. You have writing short stories. There's also an activity here where it encourages students to be able to write their own story and then create an audiobook to go with that. And so then students can play that audiobook in the car as they're traveling from one place to another. And so they're kind of hearing themselves, and it's just a really proud moment overall. There is also a creating comic strips. You can go to different locations to be able to read stories or to look at stories from different countries and being able to have a conversation about comparing and contrasting on what it's like here in our own country. There's a lot of grammar activities that are in here as well. And so it just makes it very easy and fun for parents to be able to encourage that learning at home, while not feeling like they're giving their kids just another worksheet, because that's not the goal here. We don't want them to feel like it's just another worksheet. You have to sit here and it's boring. I'm wanting to create activities that are going to be engaging over the summer and that parents can just use again and again and again. And so what I would end up finding, either just from talking from families in the past or from my own experience as a mom, is that I would have certain activities that I would put a little star next to. And as we were playing things and I realized that, ooh, this is a really, really good one, I'm going to come back to it and play, I would put a star, and that was the activity that I would use over and over again, just to help encourage them. I will also say, teachers, these are some great activities if you just want to play them in class. There's a bunch of math activities that are going to also be in here that I think are really exciting and encouraging. Now, I know I don't speak a lot about math here on this channel, but there are some really good ones here. So playing Fraction Wars is a really fun one, and all of these are just simple with a deck of cards can be made. You have different ways to do a rule of 24, which allows them to do order of operations, which is really fun. Who has the most money, so being able to use coins and counting things. All of these, like I mentioned, are going to be activities that are just encouraging and exciting, fun. It feels like they're playing a game, but at the same time, they're practicing necessary skills that will benefit them as they move on to the next grade level. The whole goal here is that we're trying to reduce the summer slide. We don't like that. Oh, Kelly, thank you so much, saying that she loves the resources. I am so glad that you love them. Sherry, you are very welcome for the code. I am excited that you've got that working out for you. Okay, so what do you guys think of the calendar so far? The calendar is a favorite. I like it because it's one simple activity versus giving them a whole list of things. You can also encourage and tell your families, listen, if you like one activity more than another, then feel free to kind of swap them out or do some of them twice. If you feel as though that you're kind of fighting your child to be able to finish something, it's definitely going to be an option for you, instead of feeling like you have to kind of stick to the calendar. It's there as options for activities that you could be doing with your child at home. Also notice that I did a 5-day calendar week versus a 7-day calendar week. And this is mainly for kids to be able to enjoy their weekends. Families need to enjoy their weekends. But again, it still helps to kind of continue that learning as they go through the summer. Okay, so let's chat about the second option. So the second option is going to be the one that I use. I've been using for the past 5 years, and I love this one. In fact, I'm going to share with you guys and show you all of the different options that I have used in the past. So let's go ahead and move here. So you're going to see I have MAC Team 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020. These were from, I don't know when these were from. These were from sometime. I'm thinking This was from the first year of MAC team, I'm pretty sure. So this is what a summer challenge is. A summer challenge is very small, and this idea basically came from my administration. So when I first kind of came to the school, they were like, you know what, we don't want to give them a ton of work, but we want to kind of give them some form of a challenge. Maybe it's just like 7 activities that you end up giving them so that they can try to do something over the summer, but not necessarily take up their entire summer. So maybe you like the idea of some of the activities in the calendar, but you're like, ooh, man, I think it's like, it's too much, you know, an everyday kind of thing is just not their vibe, which I totally understand. You can go to something a little bit more simple with a summer challenge like this. So in the summer challenge, basically what it is it's a challenge. It's a challenge to be able to complete different tasks. So in this one, and I am sorry for the color changes here, but in this one, it's we had an idea for the Good Dinosaur, and so it was part of the Fireflies. So what we were trying to do was connect like some form of a cartoon, connect it to a story, and then have the kids be able to do or create something from it. So we had watch a clip of the Good Dinosaur. We basically had a Schoology page for families to be able to go to and have access to over the summer, and then listen to the read aloud. So we read the book Fireflies, which is one of my favorites. And then they had all of these different things that they would have to kind of complete. And then each one was something a little bit different. So this one was creating like the perimeter and that was to kind of add like the perimeter and area of the shape that they created, but they would try to create shapes in different quantities, just like Wreck-It Ralph. For this one, it was part of Frozen, which was really exciting. I still love Frozen dearly. Challenge 4 was looking at a main character and a challenge that they face. This one was Star Wars, so we had Yoda incorporated, Big Hero 6, another one of my favorites. This one was Simba and the Lion King, and it went with the book Bring the Rain to Kapiti Plain. Oh, love that book so much. So each challenge, which was just a little bit different. So we had 10 challenges in this book, and this was the first year that we did it on MAC team. The next year was this one. And on this one, we had a Star Wars theme. So I think every year we did a different little theme because, again, you have to remember we have these kids for 3 years. So we wanted to make sure that we had something that we could go to when we had like a 3-year rotation, so that kids weren't getting the exact same thing over and over. So this was like a Star Wars theme. We had where they had to track the moon for a month. They had to do multiplications and create the image here. So it was all just a little bit, these are missions, not challenges. It was fun. It went with the theme. And then they had a spot to be able to write a journal, and we just put some fun little clip art there because we loved Star Wars. So that was the next one. The next year, we ended up doing this one here, and it was a fairy tale theme. So we had a summer challenge for the fairy tale theme, and then this one these were quests. You guys see how we really love our whole theme here. So we had different quests for them. They had magic beans that we gave them. So we gave them the beans and all of the other supplies that they needed to do this activity here so that they weren't having to go out and buy materials. And again, we had another one where they had to fill in the chart here to create an image. We had some here where it was the Billy Goat's Gruff kind of thing. And so we had them do some form of a STEM activity. And then this one was fun, where they had to create a family tree of themselves and their family. We also had fairy tales, fables, folk tales, and myths, and we discussed those. We gave them some construction paper here to create their own fantasy island, and then also some of the journal pages that were here on the back. Guys, we love a good theme. We're all about themes on the MAC team. So every year it was just a little bit different. And again, we had to do that mainly because with 3 years with our kids, guys, like we have to plan things. We can't do things every year. So we have to have like a 3-year cycle rotation of when we can start doing some of those activities. And I think we're finally to the point where it's like, oh, we can finally start reusing some of these things. So like different activities that we do at the beginning of the year, during the year, it's just, we're so grateful to be at this point where now we're not having to try to come up with something new all the time. But I did want to show you guys one that I do have available. And so this one here is going to be the second challenge. So when you hit the number, it's actually going to take you to the location of that resource. And so this resource is one that I have created, but I did make a challenge that you could go in and you could decide on how many you wanted to do and then send home with your kids. So these have different types of challenges. You could see there's like a Sudoku, there are, you can create it as a winter challenge. You have some different things back here that just allows kids to be able to have fun, kind of use their brains, think a little bit critically, but still at the same time not be expected to do so much over the summer, because that was the goal for us, is we didn't want to have them feel overwhelmed or overloaded. If they really kind of stuck to it and they did it that final week, then they could get it all done in a week if they wanted to. So it's kind of up to you. All of these are blank. You're going to see that the little circles are blank, but it allows you to put the number in there so that you can figure out what challenges you would like to do. So you can pick and choose the pages that you want for your challenges for the summer. Okay, how are you guys feeling? So far, I mean, which do you like the best? Do you like the calendar the best, or do you like the challenge the best? I mean, I feel like my themes are really great with my challenges. So I want to know, put them in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking over here. And we're going to move on to the next one. I feel like this live chat today, guys, we're just kind of rolling. It's going to be very laid back, low key, and I have some fun information for you in just a little bit. Okay, so let's move on to the third option. So the third option is going to be a reading challenge. So this is something that I think it started, I want to say last year or the year before. Definitely the challenges. Lola and Chelsea, y'all right there with me. I love the challenges. Very simple, sweet. And I also want to mention that when we would send home the challenges, let me see if I can find one. When we would send home the challenges, we would send them home in a little folder like this. And then I would also give them this little bag that had any of the materials that they needed. So I always made sure that they had all of the materials for any of the activities. And it was pretty simple putting them together. It wasn't anything fancy. But I always send home activities as much as possible. Even if you choose to do the calendars, I highly recommend at least getting some playing cards and sending those playing cards, because a lot of the math activities are going to have playing cards. Which actually I think I'm going to do as like an end of the year, like, here you go kids, here's some playing cards, because they're just fun. So I'm seeing like challenges, I'm seeing calendars. It's almost like half and half, almost. Okay, so let's talk about option 3. It's either started last year or I want to say the year before that. But my reading specialist came and said, hey, we want every teacher to be able to send home some form of a reading challenge. And essentially, the reading challenge was, okay, you have to read so many books. If you read so many books, then you bring this page back showing that you read these books, and then you get a prize from her. Not from us, but from my reading specialist. So this was kind of her initiative. But what was nice is that she allowed us to kind of do whatever we felt we wanted to do. So I found some different options online after kind of looking and seeing what other teachers were doing. And then I ended up going with something a little bit simple, I want to say. I don't know. You can kind of take it for what it is. But this is going to be one of the options that you guys have in your freebie for tonight. So you have a summer book challenge, and these are all like little images, and the images are on there. So if you wanted to crop them so that you don't have as many books, you can crop these out. So like, let's say you only wanted this many books, you wanted 4, you can take that image, crop it down so that you didn't have these other pieces here, and that can reduce the amount of books that you're making your kids read. But what I did is I kind of took it a step further than that. And not only did I want them to be able to write the name of the book here. So for instance, if they ended up reading Harry Potter, they would just write Harry Potter. And then let's say maybe they read Wolf Hollow, they would write Wolf Hollow. So they would write the titles here, Save Me a Seat. And then maybe they even read a few picture books. So let's say they read, of course, I'm going to pick a book that I don't feel like I can write the name of, Rapunzel. I hope I did that right. So they would fill in each of the book spines with the title of the book. What I wanted to do is take it a step further because I'm a big believer in genres. I teach everything with genres. I think it's very unique in how we provide instruction. We kind of approach them a little bit differently when we read them, when we write them. So I have a color code down here at the bottom. And so I have realistic fiction, historical fiction, fantasy, science. You can see all of them there. And so what I asked them to do is after they read it, they had to go and color that spine using the color codes here at the bottom. Now, if you're like, Bridget, yo, that is too much. You cannot have my kids do that. I completely understand, which is why I also have a simpler version. So you get both of them. So maybe they read a magazine, they can color it red. If they read a picture book, they can color it blue, a chapter book green, website article yellow, and a poem make it purple. These are editable down here so that you can change them, make it fit for what you want. But again, it's something very simple that kids could do. They can bring it back and then you can give them some form of a prize, which we will talk about prizes in a little bit. And guys, I have to tell you, my students helped me come up with these. So they are kid approved, not even joking. Okay. So the summer book challenge, I think, is a really nice one. It helps to encourage reading. This is something very simple that they can place on their fridge and keep track of. And at the same time, there's not a ton of pressure with it. So they can find things. I like this one a lot too, just because it kind of gives them an option of saying, hey, listen, you don't have to read a chapter book all the time. For some reason, kids get into like 4th, 5th, and 6th grade and they're like, but I have to read all these chapter books. No, you don't. Like, reading is reading. No matter if you're reading it online, if you're reading it in a magazine, if you're reading it through a picture book or a short story, it's still reading, which is what I want you to do. So this helps to kind of push kids and say, you know, you don't necessarily have to just do it this way. Now, if you also have a variation with your students, and they're probably like mine, some of my kids will really love the genre challenge. They would love, love, love it. And so I have those readers that would totally just run with that, and they would, you know, read all of the different genres just to be able to kind of have a variation of them. Other students, not so much. You could give each student an individualized version. So maybe you have some students who get the genre version, and then you have others who get the choice options version for what they're reading. That way you're making it a little bit more customized to their individual needs. They're not feeling so overwhelmed to say, oh, I have to do all of this, but it helps to kind of encourage and push them along the way. Does that make sense? Okay, Lola says, I'm really excited about the reading challenge. I'm so glad that you're excited about it. I think this is a really good one. Again, I tried to make it as editable as possible. Like, you guys are just getting like the full-blown document. So you can make the changes to it and use it the way you want to use it into your own classroom to fit your needs and your kids' needs, which is important. So Sanchez says, I teach 6th grade. Which would you recommend? Wow. That's really hard. So it depends on what you teach in 6th grade. Are you only a 6th grade ELA teacher? If that's the case, then I would say maybe even do the summer book challenge. If you're a teacher that teaches a little bit of everything, I really love the summer challenge itself. But I also, now that I kind of created all of the activities for the Calendar, I really like the calendar. Guys, I'm telling you, there's some really great activities in that summer calendar. And I think it's fun. And even if you didn't want your kids to do, you know, the full 2 months, you could have them start and just do 1 month, 1 month calendar activities and then send that home. That's the beauty about what I'm giving you guys today, is that you can make it the way however you want to make it. If you want to give them some days off, like throughout it, give them some days off. They don't have to do something every single day. You could put, say, it's like free day, go and do something that you love outside or something to that extent. Again, it's about you and your kids and what you feel is going to work best. But I mean, it's really hard because I like them all. I even at one point, guys, when I was creating the calendar, I thought, man, maybe like my teacher partners would be okay to like not do a challenge this year and do a calendar, because I'm really loving the calendar. I don't know if they're going to be okay with that, because we do love our challenges. But the calendar has some really great activities. So, okay, I hope that helps. Oh, Kelly says, I'm going to do this and make a reward in September to eat lunch with me. That is a great idea. I think that's fantastic. Anything to be able to have lunch with a teacher is just, it's so fun and it's great. So I love that idea. Thank you for sharing that kind of reward, because it definitely was not one that was on my list. Apparently my kids don't like to eat lunch with me then. Because they did not come up with that one at all. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to move on to the fourth option today. So option number 4 is very much so like the calendar. So for my friends out there who are like, oof, that calendar is just too long, Bridget. Like, it's too much. I can't do that. I totally get you. I really do. So therefore, you can have a summer bingo instead. Now, it still comes with the exact same bank of activities, and you can make this bingo any way that kind of fits your needs and for your kids. And so here's what it looks like. So with the bingo, you're going to see here, it has, you know, just like here's this part, here's the free space, and then you have all of your like blank places to be able to put the activity. So I went on ahead and printed this one. This has a C on here because there are different options. So let's say you wanted to send home 2 or 3 bingo cards. You can have the option to do 2 or 3. This is just the one that I ended up printing out. So there's an A, B, and C, and you can make them a little bit different. Put in your favorite activities that you really want to kind of nudge kids to try and do as repeats in each of these, the bingo cards. Make it your own. So again, you have your ELA topics, your writing topics, grammar topics, and then apparently my math topics did not want to, oh, there they are. And then you have also your math topics. You just copy, you paste, and you put them inside of the bingo board itself. So as I mentioned, one of the things that I really like about this activity is that if you feel like you want something that's kind of in the middle of the calendar, but you don't necessarily want them to have something that they have to do every day, with the bingo board itself, they're only doing, I mean, they can get away with doing 4 activities and being done and calling it bingo there. You could even take it as far as saying, you know what, because I've done bingo before, guys. I love bingo, like Christmas bingo, where we have to like try to win purses. So much fun. I love it. There's like a firehouse that does it, and I go with a friend every year, except last year we weren't able to go, but it's really, really fun. But in real bingo, like they have different versions that you have to make. So like sometimes you have to do a U, sometimes you have to do blackout. Like there's different options out there. You can put that into your directions if you want your kids to do something specific, or you could just have them follow regular bingo where they either go, you know, straight down, they can go horizontal, they can go diagonal, it's whatever you end up choosing there. So I wanted to show you how we can go about making these. So here's the bingo board itself. So you can see I already went on ahead and copied and pasted one in so that you can see that. So again, if I come here, let's say I want to choose an activity. Let's kind of go through some of these. This one is grab a friend and play I Spy. With I Spy, you can say, I spy a plural noun with my little eye, a flock of geese. And so try using grammatical terms like noun, singular, plural, verb, adjective. So I'm going to hit copy, and then I'm going to go back up to my bingo board, and I'm going to put it anywhere that I choose to put it. So let's say that I want to put it here. I'm going to hit paste, and then you're going to notice that it comes up with a bullet. In order just to get rid of that, all you guys have to do is just hit delete, and it'll just go away. So there it is. You can create your bingo board using the bank any way that you choose to do it. What's nice, again, like I said, they can get away with just doing 4, or they can do 5 if they didn't use the free space. But it's and this, you guys can delete this as well. If you don't want your kids to have a free space, they don't have to have a free space. You can delete that, and then have them turn it in, and then be able to get a prize at the very beginning of the next year. But it's, again, another really simple activity. As a parent, I would appreciate it, because I could also look at the other activities and say, we're going to do this again. We're going to do this tonight together. We're going to play this activity or this game, because it helps to just give me some ideas of what is it that I can do with my kids over the summer. Because let me tell you, there's only so many times that I can take out Play-Doh. There's only so many times that we can go on the same walk over and over and over again. So I really always appreciate different activities like this, or websites or games that I can just very easily play with my kids using any sort of resources that I have here in my home, or using very small amount of resources. Like I could go to the dollar store and grab a deck of cards, and that's something that's very easy that I can just kind of play with my kids there at home. So you have the summer bingo option as well, for those who don't want to do the full-blown calendar, because I agree, the calendar can get a little overwhelming. It can. So if you want a nice middle ground, I think this is a really good one. Okay, so just says, I teach social studies, Spanish 1 and Spanish language arts. Thank you. You are very, very welcome. I hope it all works out for you. Let's see. Jobo says, sorry, I cannot find the resources in my spam folder. So
I'll add it to the BLC then.
Awesome. So Trent's going to add it to the BLC. It's going to work. Okay, we're down to the last one, and then you guys are going to tell me which one you like the most. All right. And then I want to know if you're actually going to use it. For those of you who said that you don't necessarily have to do this, but you can send something home if you wanted to, I want to know if you're actually going to use this. So here's going to be the next one. The next one, which is our 5th option here, is going to be a QR website brochure. Guys, I love me a good brochure, let me tell you. I have always been about that brochure life from my very first years in teaching. Marilyn said, how are you? I'm great. Thank you so much.
I'm great as well.
Trent is doing great as well. Thank you. I don't feel like I get that question very. I'm doing great. I'm a little reluctant to go back tomorrow, but I know that as soon as I get back to school, it's going to be totally fine. I'm just getting the summer, summer vibes. It's like I'm ready for summer. You know what I mean? Oh, okay. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. So I love me a good QR brochure. I love a brochure of any kind. I've been using them for years and years and years. And so I wanted to share a QR brochure. And so here's what a QR brochure is. And I, again, have a freebie for you guys. So a QR brochure is basically a brochure that you can print out. Obviously do this on really pretty colored paper versus the white. It just makes it a little something extra. But this is going to hold learning apps or websites that your kids can go to. Now, if you are a school or somewhere where you feel like your families do not have a ton of access to technology, this might not be the option for you. You may want to choose from one of the other options that I have. But if you come from a district that you know your families, all your kids have access, then great, do something like this. I think this is a really fun way to help parents know like what kind of technology could their kids be using that is also educational. So in my district, we have a ton of apps that we give our kids access to where they have different passwords and they get in and they kind of do IXL, all of these other things. So this is a way for my families to know which websites for their kids to be able to go to. So here's how this works. It's a template. Like all it is for you is it's going to look like a template. So let me show you what that looks like on our end over here. So when you open up the actual file itself, this is what you are going to see. And I have all of the pages kind of in there for you. Don't change the pages around, because if you try to change the pages around, your brochure is not going to come out right. But what you can do is you can delete this here and then create a QR code. Guys, this is as simple as just going online. You can look up QR code creator. Copy the URL to any website, and then you can create QR codes. Which one do? I usually do this QR code generator. So you're going to enter the website there, and then it's automatically going to come up with a QR code. If you do this on your iPad, guys, really easy thing to do is make it big and then screenshot it because then I can literally do that, open it up, and then I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. Hit done, and it's going to end up saving it to my photos. So when I go to drop it in, I could just drop it in from there. I recommend that when you drop it in, immediately go and paste it and then delete it, because if not, you're going to get yourself very confused. So don't do that to yourself. So again, very simple for you to end up creating. And then you would just put your QR code as an image right inside of that little square. And then you can add information. So some ideas for what you can do is kind of give the name of the website here. You can also give some login information if their students need login information. And then also provide them with a very quick synopsis of here's what this website is going to do for you. So for us, like we have IXL and we offer language arts, and then we offer math for IXL for our students. So kids can go on and they can practice different skills for their grade level, but they can also do a diagnostic, and that diagnostic is going to kind of create levels for them, and it's going to have recommended practice points for them to complete. So I might type all of that in there and then place the title up here, the name of it. If you also didn't want to just have the QR code, I could put in www.ixl.com for them to just be able to type that URL inside of any form of a website place. I can't think of the word all of a sudden. So very simple. There are 4 different places for you to put applications. You could just kind of copy and paste this on the back if you wanted to add a 5th one, or you could just kind of leave a little, thank you so much and practicing over the summer, that kind of a thing, and then print it on paper. Here's what I will tell you though. When you go to print it, you might have to try a couple of times depending on your printer. So you're going to see here with this one, when I close it, right, it's all where it needs to be. I've got the back on the back, it's all flipped, it's all the same direction, it's looking good. Well, the first time I printed it, I almost had a heart attack because this is what I had. It was upside down, one was right side, the other one was not. It was a hot mess. So here's kind of what I had to do. Get my camera over here. When you go to print, so I'm going to share and export. Let me hit print. And I wonder if it'll do it here. So if I hit double-sided, it's not going to let me do it on my iPad. So you might not want to do this on your iPad. But when you are in Google Drive for your computer and you go to print something, when you hit both sides, it's going to say short edge or long edge. You might have to change it to short or long depending on your printer. So just kind of play around with it, but I promise you, just be patient. It will end up working out. It just takes some time to kind of figure out what works best for your computer itself. So here's what I like about this. There's a few things. As a mom, there are times where I'm going to allow my kids to be on technology, but sometimes I want them to be on technology that's going to help kind of encourage them to learn a little bit. And so it's really nice to be able to have options in the names of websites for my kids to be able to go to. Now, if I wasn't a teacher, luckily I am, but if I wasn't a teacher, I might not know what are the best educational apps or websites out there. What are going to be some of those options that I can have my kids be able to go to? This is an opportunity for you, the educator, to help kind of guide parents and knowing, okay, I can have them go into this and I can have them do this. It's still fun. It's still, an experience, a learning experience, but it doesn't feel like they're sitting down with, a worksheet and a booklet that they've gotten from like Barnes and Noble or Books A Million. And it's like this thick little, I'm just going to sit here with worksheet packet. We don't want to encourage that. We want to encourage authentic learning. And I think all of these options that I've given you guys today are going to really encourage that piece, that authentic learning component, which is what we want to continue to help our parents with. Okay, so I'm curious. Oh, thank you so much. Amelia Z Martinez, I think is that how I pronounce it, says, I love all of the ideas. Thank you so much, Bridget. You are very, very welcome. I'm glad that you like the ideas. I did spend quite a bit of time creating some of these resources so that you guys can kind of make it your own, because I just remember it was so challenging for me to say, oh, I want to send something home, but nothing ever felt quite right. Like I always felt like it could have been just a little bit different, or if I could have just tweaked it a little bit. And so I would be that teacher that would sit there and like white things out, or, like cut things out and copy and put them and paste them in different locations. This is that, white out, copy, paste type of situation, but it's all digital so that you can really make it your own. So I really hope that you guys like all of the options that are here. So let's chat a little bit before we kind of end off the live in general. Let's chat a little bit about prizes. And organizing some of these belongings. So in the freebie that you guys are getting today, so again, if you have not seen that, you head over to theletteredclassroom.com/summer learning. You are going to be able to see this page here, and that's going to give you this freebie that's going to get emailed to you. And inside of this freebie, one of the things that I talk about are going to be organization and prizes. So there are a few things to think about when it comes to organization. So I've used everything from a file folder to a regular folder. So you can see it here, like here's a folder that has the materials that I would place everything in and then send that home. I've also used Ziploc bags, which are great. So gallon-sized Ziploc bags that you can stick it inside of, put a little label on it, and then send everything home with them. Brown paper bags are also really great. And then also a little zip bag that you can find from the dollar store. So the other thing that I will say are going to be prizes. I think prizes are going to really vary for everyone. You really have to kind of think about what is it that, works best for you and for your kids. And so one of the things for me is I personally have always done prizes for my students. I mean, even back in kindergarten, it was nice it was kind of my way of bribing them to come back and see me so that I can see how big they had grown over the summer, but also just because I missed them and I wanted to get like one more hug in before they left me for their new teacher. So it was my way of saying, hey, come back to me and I'll give you a prize before you go to your class. And then this year, the previous years that I've had it like in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, it was just a way for them to encourage them to try to and finish it. And so because I had them for 3 years, they would always kind of come back to me, and it was a really nice way to say, hey, if you do this, we're gonna have this sort of prizes. Now, for MAC team in the past, we have done, different chocolate, like I've made like the chocolate frogs, like from Harry Potter. We've had like the ice cream and waffle parties where the kids would just have like that, or maybe we would just give them ice cream while they were out on the playground. We would do something special for them if they brought back their summer challenge. And let me tell you, kids that did not bring them back always regretted it. But we always gave them some grace and leniency, and we said, listen, you have like until the end of the first 2 weeks of school to be able to finish it and bring it back if you really want to have something. So
how'd you deal
we
with,
were really nice.
How'd you deal with the 6th graders that became 7th graders?
So 6th graders who become 7th graders, that would be a little bit different. So for us in my district, the way it worked is that we would have something called the Move the Pride. And so I would get my kids, the kids that I was supposed to have the next year, I would get to see them one full day right before the last day of school. So let's say that we get to this point like on the 3rd of June, because the last day of school is the 4th. On the 3rd of June, we would have had Move the Pride. And so I would have seen the kids that I would be getting next year. Now, because of COVID, we're not doing that. So I don't really have that option this year. I don't even know what kids I'm going to be getting for 4th grade, like our incoming 4th graders. So I never really gave anything to my 6th graders unless I had parent requests. There were some times where I would have parents that said, hey, I want my kids to have some sort of a practice. Their teacher did not give it to them during Move the Pride. Can you please send something home? And I would definitely send something home with them. But if that's going to be the option, one of the things that you can do for your kids is every single school has some sort of internal mail system. You can have the teachers be really kind and send you a list, an email list of all the kids who completed the challenge, and then you can send them something. Or here's what I have done. You do not have to do this, absolutely not, do not have to do this, but you can also have a couple of days where you go to the school playground and you tell parents to meet you there. So I would always have the email list of those families, and I would say, hey, I'm gonna be at the playground on this date, come and meet me here, bring your challenge, I'll give you your prize, we can kind of hang out and talk for a little bit before you move on to your next school year. I loved that option personally because it allowed me to be able to see my kids one more time. I got to talk with families one more time, kind of catch up over the summer, wish them luck, give them the prize, and then they kind of went off and did their own thing. So it was also a really nice time for the kids to kind of get back together for those who didn't get to see each other over the summer. So that was my favorite option. I highly recommend it, but definitely do not feel as though that you have to do something like that, if that makes sense. Okay, so some of the rewards that my kids came up with, because I sat there and I was like, hey, guys, have teachers given you rewards before? And they were like, yeah. So I've given them rewards too. So I was like, I want to know what have been some of your favorite rewards. And so they told me everything from like a popsicle reward to a Moki squishy toys. They're like these little bitty toys. You can Google it. They're on Amazon. They're these little bitty like toys that they're like squishy. I don't know. They like them. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Books are always a fun one. Collectible mini toys. They're all about those stress balls apparently because they're super stressed. They need to sit there with their stress balls. Chocolate, and they wanted to make sure that we added in their full-size chocolate bars. Stickers, Play-Doh, mechanical pencils, erasable pens, something that I've given them this year, scented markers, blacklight pens, always a favorite, book markers, color gel pens. This one was a good one, guys. Temporary tattoos. I'm like, guys, I was like, what? They were like, the tattoos that you could put on and then they wash off after a few days. I'm like, you guys still like to wear those temporary tattoos? And they were like, yeah, we love them. They're all about it. I had kids like coming in right after we had talked about it. They were like, see, look at all my temporary tattoos. All right, whatever. Lollipops are also one that's on the list. So you have some options there as far as what you can give your kids if you kind of need a little bit of inspiration. Those are hits, apparently, with the 5th graders. So if you have 5th graders, that's kind of what they're looking for. But that's going to be it, guys. This is kind of the end of the 5 options that you could be giving your kids for continuing learning through the summer and into the next school year. Hopefully, you will find something that is useful for you over with the freebie that you can use for the end of the year. And my hope and my wish at the very end of all this is that I have made your end of the school year just a little bit less stressful, so that you're not having to go and kind of scurry and find all of these materials and rush to do them. You can go ahead and start prepping them this evening, even have it done, spend about 20 minutes and get it done, have them prepped, ready to go, so that way you don't have to worry about it at the end of the year. I know that's definitely one of the things that I'm going to be doing is prepping some of those this coming week, so that way I don't have to stress about it that last week of school. I like to be as proactive as possible towards the very end of the year so that I can enjoy it and not feel like I'm growing more gray hairs, because they're bad right now, like really, really bad. Okay, so I told you guys that I was going to ask you, and I am going to ask you, out of the 5 that I have shown you in this video, which one is your favorite now? So which one is your favorite, and will you be using it this year? So let me know in the comments which out of the 5 is going to be your absolute favorite.
You did get some responses earlier.
I did?
Yeah.
Well, was it when I asked earlier?
Yeah, so it was challenges, mostly challenges, calendar.
Yeah, I like that one. Those are all really good ones. This year, I think we're still sticking with the challenges. Technically, I think we would be back on this rotation here. It's not the same challenges that I offer in the book, although the cover is the same. These challenges are specific to using Schoology. So we have, like I mentioned, a Schoology page that has all of these items. So I could just copy and paste that Schoology page, which is going to be really easy for this summer, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel because I don't typically enjoy doing that.
Right on time today.
All right. So, guys, that is going to be it for this evening. That is all I have. Lola says, I still love the reading challenge. Lucky for my school year is that it's K-8, so I see 6th graders babies around the campus. I am so glad for you, girl, that it's going to work out perfect for you. Let's see. Planning to do the calendar, but the reading challenge, and I'll do at the start of the school year. Prize will be that they get to pick a book from Scholastic up to $5. I would love that, girl. That's great. That is a really good prize. Very nice prize. I think that's a great idea for you, how you're going to incorporate both of them, but at different points of the year, I think is really cool. So that is going to be it, guys. That is the end for this one. Oh, I also see another one. Joanna says, I'm going to do the summer calendar. Guys, I love that you're going to use that calendar, and you have to let me know how it ends up working out and some of your favorite activities later. I did spend so much time planning out these activities, so I'm hoping that you really like the options that are in that bank of activities. I did lots of research online and was trying to come up with things. It took me literally all week to come up with all of those activities. But I am so grateful and thankful that you have joined. So I wanted to mention to you guys before we go ahead and end this chat that next week I'm actually going to have a vlog up. So I'm going to be vlogging this week for you, and then post that for Mother's Day Sunday. So I hope you all have a very lovely Mother's Day.
So no live chat.
So no live chat. Yeah, we will not have a live chat. We are only going to have a vlog next Sunday. But I also wanted to mention that I have 2 really important dates that you need to put into your calendar, okay? So here's going to be the first date. So on the 16th of May and the 23rd of May, we are going to have live chats. Those are the only 2 live chats that we're going to have for the remainder of May, the 16th and the 23rd. And what we're going to be doing is I'm going to introduce to you guys a new kind of product that I'm going to be putting out there. It's more like a workshop that I will be putting out there, but these first 2 are going to be completely free here on YouTube. So we're going to do them live together. So the 16th, we're going to be unpacking Anchor 1 for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And then on the 23rd, we're going to be unpacking Anchor 1. I'm sorry, that first one was literature. And then on the 23rd, we're going to unpack informational Anchor 1 for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. So we're going to come up with activities. We're going to dissect it and make it into learning targets. The whole goal is to help you be able to understand exactly what the anchor is expecting of your students so that you have a very clear vision on how you're providing instruction. So we're going to come up with mentor text, activities, learning targets, assessment ideas, all of the different things over on the 16th and the 23rd. So be sure to join us for those live chats. I know it's during a time when you're probably exhausted and you're like, oh, I don't know if I could do it. I want you to find the will to be able to be with me on those 2 dates, because I think this is going to be something that is incredibly valuable and hopeful for all of you. So get excited, put those dates into your calendars. May 16th, May 23rd is going to be the beginning of unpacking Anchor standards. So Thank you guys so much for joining in on this live chat. I appreciate you so much. I hope that you all have a very, very lovely week, and I will catch you all on the 16th. Bye.